Hello everybody. I did quite a few things on this car in this video here. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please remember that you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Blue Goose Garage. How I'm going to get the front end to fit this car. I've got the engine and transmission in it. This frame rail is where it's got to be. This apron up here, fender apron or whatever, was still pulled in because when I pushed the frame over, it didn't move this over. I just got done jacking the front edge of the fender and stuff forward and over. When it hit the pole over here, it drawled this side in and back. These fenders are very thin. The panels on these cars are very thin, so it doesn't take anything to bend them. I can line this fender up off of that bolt hole and that bolt hole. I can get that as close as I can get it and get it to where the front of the fender lines up with the hood the same as that side. I guess if you wanted to, you could take a tape measure and you could measure from back here to there and here to there. That's a good way to get disappointed. So visually, the front end will be as straight as it can be. In reality, it could be a politician. Well, everything is test fitted. Everything fits. The frame section over here, you can see what it is I ended up doing. The only thing I don't have right now is the radiator support across the bottom. The top's put back together. As you can see, half of it's this car, half of it's the other car. I welded the frame solid, even though they're ugly welds. They're not going anywhere. They're burned in pretty good. So the box section is welded solid. The upper part is tacked back in and straightened, minus through here. Now I could cut across through here and put in a new piece right here, but I really don't see a reason. So I straightened this the best I could because it had a kink. I don't know if you can see it in the other video, but it was kinked about right here. I straightened that. All this is welded back together. No, it's not new. It hit a pole. That's going to be a little bit better because right now the fender's still bent down through here and it's in up here. It will be about like that when I get done. And this side will be pretty good. This side, I'm going to have to probably take a hammer and a block of wood and just move the fender over because it's straight from about here back and it's only in right here. And like I mentioned in another part of the video, those fenders don't take anything to bend, and that's just the way it is. The interior, the carpet's back in it, passenger seat's back in it, dash is back in it. Made a steering column yesterday. Alright, so it's been a day or two. I've done quite a bit of stuff and haven't really updated any. So here we go. Both fenders and the hood are fitting the way they're going to fit. The gaps are as good as they're going to be. Not bad for junk, really. I took a block of wood and a hammer and just persuaded that one over. It's bolted on. Both sides are bolted on. I had to weld that standoff right there with the bolt in it back on. It broke that off in the wreck too. So all of it's on. I seam sealed everything, and have pretty well decided not to paint anything. If I do paint anything, it'll just be a couple welds that's under the hood here. I am going to paint the hood and front bumper red. The car's going to be buffed, and from a distance it'll look as good as it can. I fixed / found that mount. That's aluminum. It's cast aluminum. They're brittle anyway. It takes nothing to break them. In the wreck, it broke this one and the rear mount. The only thing that didn't get broke was this mount. And there's a dent in the oil pan that lines up with the axle. So apparently the axle is what kept the engine from saying hello. So, as I showed you in one of the other sections of this video, I put this in. Then after that, the hood latch didn't line up with the hood, so I had to cut it over here and pull it on forward and weld it back. The reason I have had to cut and weld everything on the front end of this car is because it takes quite a bit more than I've got to bend this stuff back straight if it's all together. So I made relief cuts, bent it, and welded everything back. So the engine's in here, seems straight. I'm sure if I measured it, it might be off, but it's in there. No, I didn't have to do any prying or any of that to get the bolts in that. So tonight I got up here and worked hours on making a lower radiator support. I didn't have a good one. I had a bent one. I had a few bent ones. The original one for this car had rust all through the bottom of it, and when it was wrecked, it didn't have anything from here over underneath it. It was all gone. This one came off the car that was rear-ended a month or two ago that I did a few shorts on. It's still bent some, but it wasn't rusty, so I cut this corner out of it and beat it back to where it needed to be and welded it back. I cut this section out of it and got it as straight as I could get it and welded it back. It's still back a little bit, but it's not up, which means everything fits. As you can see here, you might not be able to. It's back a little. That costed a whopping $3.99. I'm okay with a little bit of janky, as long as it doesn't cost you anything but time. Car had good hoses on it, didn't have a radiator. This radiator 3 years ago came off of a car that hit a deer. When it hit the deer, it pushed the radiator support back into the engine and knocked the corner of the radiator off. I just happened to save it in case I ever needed it, and I ground out the crack and cleaned it the best I could and put a little bit of filler, body filler in it. And the plan is no pressure. And if it fails, I'll find a radiator. When it fails, I'll find a radiator. So far, I'm real low budget on all this. I don't pay myself, so I can't count that. But if you didn't count the stuff that I had to replace that we sold off of it or used off of it, I'm about $100 in fixing this car, plus hours of work on it, but I'm not paying myself like I mentioned, so $100 car. You can have some problems every now and then. Plus, you kind of have to save the money to buy something more important, like possibly a windshield. It depends, you know. But I think even around here, I would probably get pulled over for that. We don't have an inspection, but they don't like badly broken windshields. So, I guess I'll end the video here, and in the next video, I tried cranking it, and the fuel pump's bad. It kind of ran when I dumped gas down the intake, but it needs a fuel pump. I hope that's all it needs. There's not going to be a fuel tank. You know, it's a steel fuel tank, and there's not going to be one of those around here. So I'm hoping I can kind of clean it and run it. I have to clean it and run it. So the next video, we'll change the fuel pump. We'll finish putting it. We'll put some of the exhaust on the car. I'm not going to do a full exhaust. I'm going to do a maybe a catalytic converter and a side pipe or something. It's not going to be a complete exhaust. There's no reason to run a complete exhaust. As long as I can make it to where it's not loud inside the car, I really don't care if it annoys everybody else. So next video, we'll get it running. And I want to thank you for watching this. And I'll see you again next time. Bye.